and sister Hibernians. I want to join with Brian, first of all, in thanking all of you for coming here, because, you know, it's great we had all the help organising it, but if you didn't come, it would be really meaningless. So, you know, thank you all very, very much for coming, and you're all very, very welcome. You know, it's great to come and think back about the 300 years and the people who came here before us, and even in the last few years, and the people who are here last year and are no longer with us. You know, it's great to remember them, but it's also important to look forward and to see where we're going into the future, and think about our religion and the fact that we have our faith, and that was handed on to us by our forefathers, by the people who came here. And it's our responsibility now to pass it on to the next generation and to make sure that it's kept alive and kept going in the next generation. And we're doing that, you know, just thinking of the last verse of the song that Rosie sang. She was saying that, you know, if Ireland calls for men, we'll not be found wanting. Well, the religion is calling for men, or calling for support, and it's important that we do that. We have people who are want to turn Ireland into what they call a pluralist society. They think that, you know, pubs should be open on a Good Friday. There shouldn't be any alcohol-free days in the year. We had the Citizens' Assembly over the last year, and their report came out, and they got concentrating on the 8th Amendment, and amendment want to change the 8th Amendment, which guarantees protection to the unborn. And I think that, you know, it's our responsibility to ensure that there's going to be a referendum early next year concerning that, and I think it's our responsibility to have our voices heard on that, and to make sure that, you know, that we don't weaken too much the protection to for the unborn. I just thinking about you know, the Citizens' Assembly was 100 people that were choosing at random, and they went away and they thought about it and what should be done, and they came back with a report saying that it should be loosened, or it should be reduced, that the unborn has too much protection. But, you know, I don't think, if we don't speak up for the unborn, then I don't know who will. So I think that's, you know, we need to concentrate on that into the future. But not to make things too heavy or that. Again, I want to thank you all for coming. We have a cup of tea brewing over there. I see the steam rising from the boiler, so it's before it's boiled away, we'll better try and get I know there's a few more speakers to come, so we better not hold you too long. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Brother Brian. Good evening, Reverend Father Brian, and all brothers and sisters, Hibernians, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all here this evening, and most of all, it's wonderful that the weather is so good. As Brian said earlier, we always have good weather, and thank God for that. So without that, you know, it just wouldn't be as good. But most of all, I'd like to thank Father Brian. It is great to have him here, and to have the Holy Mass said here again on these holy grounds. Without the priest, we couldn't have anything. And I know we're going low in numbers in priests, and very few people seem to be joining the priesthood here in Ireland at the present time. But please God, hopefully the Lord will come to that rescue. And I know in other countries, in foreign countries, priests are really, there are more priests there. And seeing that we have now, and may have in the future, to depend on these priests that come from foreign countries. Please God, Ireland will have young men willing to give their lives and not let this heritage go low on the ground. This is a beautiful spot here, and was really well detected and well sought out back the generations ago. I see on the Mass Rock it's there since 1690, and you know, that's a long number of years ago. But the faith was held even though people had to come here and try and have Mass or get to Mass. And even we had our Bishop Francis Duffy here once, and I'm sure that's tradition for a bishop to be here. Maybe the first time ever we had a bishop here. Anyway, I don't want to go on too long, but we're all here with our green sashes, which is for the Ancient Order of Hibernians. And the motto of that is friendship, unity, and true Christian charity. So In this world where there is so much unrest, torture for people, man's inhumanity to man, and people suffering so much, we stand by that, regardless of creed or colour. And please God, there will be unity in the world. God only knows when, but I'm sure centuries down there will be peace and unity throughout the world. I hope everybody has a nice evening, and thank you again for coming, and enjoy the evening. God bless.
Brother Harry McCabe here, the National Secretary of the Ancient Order of Hibernians here in Ireland, and Harry is a constant visitor, a great friend of mine and a constant visitor here to our Mass Rock here, and maybe Harry will say a few words.
You're very welcome. Okay, Grant. Okay, Reverend Father, brother and sister Hibernians, and all of our friends in Cavan, and all from far apart. Again, many thanks to all those who worked very, very hard to be here today, and indeed they're again the Plunkett family. May God rest in Brother Oliver, as he recently passed away. Again, the last two speakers are talking about Hibernianism, going back to the penal days in about 1640. That's when we were formed to actually protect those coming to Mass at the Mass Rocks, and indeed the priests who were hounded almost out of Ireland, but with the help of God, the faith held true and fast to what we have today. To actually celebrate the Mass Rock again gives that interest to what we were all about and what we are still about, faith in fatherland. There again, what again, Brother Patsy says about the protection of the unborn is most now sacred to our Catholic faith, as is to all Hibernians. We are all pro-life. They also thank. They're also again conscious of what is happening in Parliament, where again this used to be now Ireland, the country of saints and scholars, and we have again people in the Dáil making legislation to be PC. To us, our faith is not PC. Our faith is what it is, and we hope that we holding any steadfast to all of us surrounding that. Again, our thanks to the good Lord again for a wonderful day. That the sun has shining, been here when it's been raining, it has never put us off, and this is again a truly wonderful day. And our thanks to all the hard workers of Co.Cavan. Again, many thanks indeed for again all your work.
Thank you very much for that. Now I'll ask Jerry McHugh here. He's Secretary of the Ancient Order, the President of the Ancient Order of Hibernians in County Tyrone. And Tyrone is a very, very, very good county for the Hibernians. There's quite a number of branches down there, and it's going from strength to strength. And before I hand you over to Jerry, I'm just proud to look around here and see all the young Hibernians from Northern Ireland are here with their sashes and all on them. In our part of the country here, people are nearly ashamed, and unless a few of us are the older ones to go out and wear sashes and that type of thing and show us ourselves up as Hibernians, which we will do. But when you see those people up here, these young people, I don't know them, but I know that they are from with those people up from Northern Ireland, and it's great to see that, and it's great to see. And I think that the people here today should encourage their family to join organisations like the Ancient Order of Hibernians. If we don't do that, we'll have no more Mass Rocks, we'll have no nothing. Everything will go, the hierarchy of Ireland and all change the culture, and it's not changing for the good by any means, it's changing in the other direction. But anyway, now I'll hand you over to Brother Jerry McHugh.
That hasn't done arms, I mean, Sean, you. Reverend Father, may I thank you for your tremendous sermon. I'd also like to thank our Cavan brethren for once again hosting a magnificent day down here at the Mass Rock. And, it's no coincidence, as Brian has alluded to, that the Ancient Order of Hibernians are growing in strength. Because God is now giving us a grace period in which to prepare for the challenges that lie ahead. Now, it's not widely known, but the Ancient Order of Hibernians have a permanent standing order That permanent standing order is as follows. Once the faith is driven underground, we must ensure that Mass is held every Sunday throughout the year, throughout Ireland. And that is why we are regrouping, because there is a militant attack against the Catholic faith in Ireland now, the likes of which we have not seen in centuries. We must prepare for what is coming down the line. Now, I was struck by a news item a few weeks ago, I think it was, whereby wild snakes were seen slithering through the fields of County Meath. And there's a rich symbolism there, a rich irony, because it was in the old ancient kingdom of Meath where St. Patrick lit the Paschal fire on the hill of Slane. The fire that indicated that our Catholic Christian faith was established in this country. And what has given us great heart is the fact that no matter what happens, come hell or high water, the faith in this country will survive. Now, it is also symbolic because the snakes that Patrick drove out, as we see on the emblem of the banner here, those snakes are coming back, not just literally, but in the form, symbolically, of aggressive paganism and militant anti-Catholic secularism. Those are the demonic snakes that St. Patrick drove out many, many centuries ago. So we must ensure that we are conscious of this and aware of this. If one of those little yellow snakes slithered out of the undergrowth and in amongst us here in the chairs, we wouldn't lose any time in taking care of it, would we? We'd see to it that it didn't annoy anyone. And yet, we are not showing the same sense of urgency when our faith, our way of life, our Catholicism, and indeed our Irishness is under attack. Now, a few weeks ago, I happened to parade, I was blessed, along with the Hibernians from Tyrone, wearing our collarettes, to parade with 80,000 people through the streets of Dublin, and calling for, it was a pro-life march, an anti-abortion march, opposing, as Brother Brian and Paula Patsy have said, and Sister Mary have said, opposing the taking away of the 8th Amendment. And when we were walking to the start-off point, there was some lunatic in an apartment, on a high-rise apartment, screaming at the head of his voice, "The Catholic Church is dead! The Catholic Church is dead! The Catholic Church..." Well, all he had to do was look around him. There was 80,000 people there. The Catholic Church is far from dead. And we are going to see to it that it's not going to die, because the faith has been passed down to our generation, and we will ensure that it is passed on to the next and the one beyond that. Now, there are people here today, elderly people, who will remember their First Communion. That may have been back in the 1930s or perhaps even earlier. And at that First Communion, they grew up in a culture which was infused with Catholicism, where you were proud to call yourself a Catholic, where the churches were filled, there was respect for the clergy, where there were rosaries in the households every evening, where there were processions, where there was a strong, vibrant Catholic culture. And if you had said to any of those people, "We're going to take Cavan General Hospital and we're going to start killing unborn Cavan babies in it," whoever would have said that would have been lynched. They would have been torn apart. But now they're getting away with it, because we have allowed the faith to go down to some extent. And we have done what happened in the past. We have become fearful. Fear comes from the devil. It doesn't come from God. We have been fearful and we've let our faith go down. We must be in a position to stand up in the future, because if we don't, there are young people here today, babies here today, who when they are old people, Irish men and women, will be martyred in this country for their Catholic faith. That is where we are heading. They will be martyred not by foreign redcoats, but by lapsed Irish Catholics promoting a militant, secular, atheistic, paganistic agenda. We must ensure that that doesn't happen. The call is coming to us in the here and now. We just didn't come along here by coincidence today from all over Ulster. We came here because God is bringing us here. He is telling us, as our forefathers did at this rock, we must stand by the faith. Must we go underground? If so necessary, yes. Otherwise, before we are driven underground, we stand up and we stand for our faith. Now, in the old days, you could be hanged, drawn and quartered in the market square. Today, there's a similar type of martyrdom. You can be excoriated on social media, driven down. It's not so much the penal code that is the tyranny today, it is the tyranny of political correctness. People are afraid to speak out because they're afraid of being ashamed in public, or being torn down, or losing their jobs, or whatever. It can come to all of that, and it will get progressively worse. But we must not be afraid. These men and women weren't afraid to come down here, put sentinels up there, face the redcoats when necessary to defend faith and fatherland. We should not be cowardly because we are their descendants. Their blood runs in our veins. We are equally as brave as our ancestors, and we must ensure that our future generations are proud to be Irish and proud to be Catholic. The Catholic faith, the Irish nation, will not be destroyed by foreigners or by our own traitors. It will not happen. So I would take this opportunity. I know we're all wanting to get a break here, but we're not going to bow down. It's not going to happen. They think they can cow us down. Well, as I saw a couple of weeks ago, 80,000 people marching through Dublin, and the pro-abortionists were holding up devil signs, actual satanic signs at us. What did we do in response? We held up our rosary beads, because that is a power. Our Lady will crush the head of the serpent, and that serpent, struggling through County Meath or wherever they may be in the Dáil, will not break us. Will not break us. Political correctness is only a new snare. Do not accept it. Do not swallow it. Now here in Tyrone, or here in Cavan, we are proud to come down from Tyrone and support our colleagues down here who are doing such a wonderful job, and we congratulate them, and they're all good personal friends and hard workers. We will be going to Donegal now in another few weeks to our friends in Donegal to parade for the Feast of the Assumption. I hope everybody can come along. And on the 13th of on the 10th of September, which is a Sunday, a few weeks from now, we in Tyrone will be having a parade. And I have to say, this lady is a phenomenal singer, both of them. And every time we come along here, we hear about the Mass Rock in the Glen, about the Mass Rock in County Tyrone. And I have to say, it brings a tear to my eye and the eye of all true Tyrone people here. As it transpires, there's a Mass Rock, one of our divisions, the Molly Maguire's over there, some representatives from a Mass Rock in Greencastle in the Sparran Mountains in County Tyrone, where people gathered for centuries. In that Mass Rock now, a gold mine intends to take the Mass Rock and bury it in a pool of toxic waste. That's what they hope to do. But we are not going to let them do that. That is the devil taking vengeance on the faith of our ancestors, and we're not going to allow it to happen. So what we are going to do, the Ancient Order of Hibernians, is we're going to march right up there on September the 10th, a Sunday at 3 p.m. We're going to take Hibernian bands from all over Ulster. We're going to bring the people from Cavan and Donegal and everywhere else, and your good selves, and come and march with us up there. We'll pray the rosary, we'll have a great feed afterwards, and we will send a clear message that the Irish Catholic people of this nation will not accept the destruction of our Mass Rocks any more than we will accept the destruction of our Catholic faith.
Thank you very, very much, Jerry. It's 300 years ago since there was a speech like that was delivered here in a Mass Rock here in County Cavan. But anyway, I would agree on a wholeheartedly what Jerry has said there, and it's great to see somebody coming and saying something. There recently I was listening on the Northern Sound one morning, and Patsy referred to it there in his speech about Good Friday, about keeping the pubs open on Good Friday. And there was one Oireachtas member, and only one, and that man is here today that was opposed that and was against that. I don't know what the people in Ireland want, if they want to have the pubs open on Good Friday. It's unbelievable what's happening. Jerry said right, they're all against religion, all against what we were brought up against. Now, I want to thank here Frank Gilden, our piper, that piped us down here. Frank, he comes up here every year and he pipes us out. And it's great to have that. It's great to see him coming. And thanks very much. And we'll be seeing you down there in Tyrone in not too much future. And Billy McCambridge, Billy is here from the Glens of Antrim, a great area, an area that I marched down in a couple of occasions. And maybe Billy will come up here. I met Billy at a wedding up in Kingscourt there recently. I went up. Maybe Billy will come up here and say a few words. Billy McCambridge, are you around?
Thank you, Brother Brian. Well, the most important thing I would like to say is, in 3 weeks today we have the National Parade in Donegal Town. I invite each and every one of you to it. You're very welcome. But more importantly, on the 14th of October, we will have our National AOH Day at Knock, which is turning out to be one of the biggest pilgrimages going to Knock in recent years. So again, I would like to see all of you at Knock on the 14th of October. And I would like to congratulate the Cavan people on the wonderful turnout they have here today and the hard work they put into it. And it's always a pleasure to come here And thank God I haven't missed 1 year since it started. And I'll leave you on that note, and thank you very much to each and every one of you.